So just for my mental well-being, we're going to start off with the dab of the day on this video. Because we're going to be doing an update on that fucking weasel, Ted Cruz. Enjoy. Dab of the day! So my last video on Ted Cruz, which I must say thank you to everyone, because it's garnered over 1,000 views, which for a small channel like mine is not too shabby. I just happened to get it in at the right time, I think. I beat a lot of the other big YouTubers, bread tubers, etc. to it. But, yeah, I kind of just covered how instead of sticking around and maybe help, at the very least volunteer, and help his people there in Texas, he chose to whisk away himself and his family off to Cancun, Mexico for just a grand old time. Electricity, running water, the whole shebang. And I'm sure it was a nice resort wherever they stayed with his lily white family. And at first, he kind of hid behind his kids, saying that he wanted to take his family to a better situation while all of this was happening in Texas. Do you know when it would have been a good time to think about your family? Is when you realize that your entire electric grid was privatized and there was no regulation or winterizing or any of the equipment happening as a result, and you didn't do anything about that. That would have been a good time to think about your family's well-being. Not when everyone else's family is freezing to death. And to top it off, that was all a charade. It was really because his wife was bitching at him. His wife was really laying into him about how she didn't want to be in that cold Texan weather, like the rest of the Poories that live there. Fuck Ted Cruz, and fuck his wife too. No wonder that he didn't defend her when Trump was talking all that shit about how her face looks like a mangled car wreck and how Melania is so much sexier than Ted Cruz's wife. Same dude that blamed Ted Cruz's daddy for the JFK assassination. And so, he won't defend his wife against Donald Trump, but to defend his wife, he'll throw his children under the bus. He gets, slimier and more worthless by the second. And then to top it off, as soon as he arrived back in Texas, because of all the scrutiny, he started delivering water out to people and making photo ops out of it. Way too late, douchebag. The damage has been done. God, man. How do people like this get voted in? Republicans, they obviously do not care about your interests. Not even a little bit. Okay, this is an article from The Independent, sort of cataloging when Ted Cruz blamed his daughters for the controversial trip, which took him forever, a day to 2 days to confirm he was even in Cancun. Josh Marcus from The Independent. Texas Senator Ted Cruz said the reason he took a controversial vacation to Mexico on Wednesday, while the state was in winter disaster conditions, was because he was wanting to be a good dad. Aww. I consider myself a pretty good dad, and I don't think I would abandon my people because they wanted to go to Mexico.
Question from the video on the cell phone was whether the decision to go was tone deaf. Look, it was obviously a mistake, and in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it. I was trying to be a dad, and all of us have made decisions. When you've got two girls who have been cold for two days and haven't had heater power, and they're saying, hey, look, we don't have school, why don't we go, let's get out of here. I think there are a lot of parents that'd be like, all right, if I can do this, great.
And then here are the text messages from Ted Cruz's wife helping Ted Cruz plan the trip. This is from The Insider, from Osmi Haroon and Lauren Frias, Aaron Snodgrass, and Sinead Baker. New text messages reviewed by Insider appear to show planning for Senator Ted Cruz's trip to Mexico. Heidi Cruz seemed to have rallied neighbors to join them in flying to Cancun. There was a direct flight at 4:45 p.m. and hotels with capacity. Seriously, one text says. A series of new text messages appear to show Senator Ted Cruz's wife, Heidi Cruz, talking to neighbors about a getaway to Cancun, Mexico. This week, as Texas endured freezing temperatures and widespread power outages. Text messages do not mention Cruz's stated explanation for the trip, which he pinned to his daughter's request for a gateway during a school break. The New York Times said it confirmed the message's authenticity through communications with people on the thread. It also obtained the messages, but it could not independently corroborate the authenticity. Meaning they're pretty sure it's authentic, just not 100% verification. Is everyone warm? That's a must. We could all huddle in one house if bleep had heat, the text said. Anyone can or want to leave for the week? We may go to Cancun. There's a direct flight at 4:45 p.m. and hotels at capacity. Seriously. In a later text, the contact identified in screenshots as Heidi Cruz told the group, the Ritz-Carlton has rooms at like $300, and there have been many times great property, good security, etc., no issues. Misspelled good, apparently. It says God security. I'll confirm on the COVID. We need to call the hotel this AM to confirm. But you just test when you arrive. It needs to be 3 days before return. Another group member asked who the sender is. Heidi Cruz, the sender replied. In one of the images provided in Insider, the number identified as Heidi Cruz sent information for United Flight 1020, leaving Houston at 4:45 on Wednesday, returning to Houston on United Flight 1019 on Sunday. Insider reached out to Ted Cruz's office and called Heidi Cruz for comment. Subsequent questions sent from Insider via text message to a number for Heidi Cruz were left on read. Previous report confirmed that before his swift return to Houston, Cruz headed to the Ritz-Carlton in Cancun. Senator was lambasted Thursday after photos of him at the airport headed to Cancun on Wednesday afternoon surfaced and spread through social media. I saw him. He said all that stuff about being a good dad, and then all these text messages came out. Protesters gathered on Thursday outside his home chanting, hey, hey, ho, ho, Ted Cruz has got to go and resign. According to CBS News producer Sarah Cook, Cruz said he started having second thoughts from the moment he sat down on the plane. Leaving when so many people were hurting didn't feel right, and so I changed my flight to come back today, Cruz said. Yeah, there's a reason that it didn't feel right. That's because it was wrong, you stupid asshole. How are you supposed to be some sort of moral arbiter when you can't even just listen to your fucking conscience? When it became more and more of a firestorm, it became all the more compelling that I needed to come back. Duh. Still, Cruz managed to continue deflecting some of the blame, according to Cook. He again said his daughters wanted to go somewhere warm and added, we're in strange times where Twitter is going crazy and the media is going crazy. Again, we're not going crazy, you stupid ass. Fuck you and fuck your family. I don't care about your family. This is by Danielle Zellner at The Independent. Texas Senator Ted Cruz was pictured on Saturday handing out bottled waters to residents who are experiencing a shortage due to the winter storm. The moment was criticized as a photo op for the Republican. Mr. Cruz shared the pictures on his Twitter account while writing hashtag Texas Strong in the pictures. He was seen loading packages of bottled waters into residents' vehicles, but he did not reveal where the pictures were taken. Comes after a week where he was criticized about Cancun, yada yada. He finally admitted that the trip was a mistake on Thursday. It was obviously a mistake, and in hindsight, I wouldn't have done it. Duh. It's an understatement of the century. Millions of Texans were currently facing food and water shortages due to the winter storm that brought frigid temps and snow to the state. Burst pipes and low water pressure has made the tap water unsafe to drink for some residents. Faced criticism for the pictures he shared because the residents saw them as staged instead of a genuine effort to help. One person tweeted, "First you abandon your constituents, now there are crisis photo ops to you. Do you have any shame at all?" Pretty apt. Another person wrote, "I'm glad someone in Ted Cruz's Senate office finally instructed him how to fake compassion, humanity, and creating the illusion that he cares about the people he was elected to serve." Yeah, it's very true. Other people point out that COVID guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention tells Americans to receive a test 3 to 5 days after traveling and self-quarantine for at least 7 days to avoid spreading the virus. So he's flouting quarantine procedures. AOC, who everyone hates, was assisting with the crisis while he was doing all this bullshit. She helped raise more than $4 million for Texans for disaster relief and also visited a food bank in Houston, Texas. When disaster strikes, this is not just an issue for Texans, it's an issue for our entire country, she told reporters. And our whole country needs to come and rally together behind the needs of Texans all across this state. She added, "That's the New York spirit, that's the Texas spirit, and that's the American spirit." Her reaction to the crisis, given it happened in a state she did not represent, has sparked people comparing her against Mr. Cruz, given he decided to leave his state during the winter storm. Yeah, AOC is a million times a better person, generally, than Ted Cruz. And honestly, should be considered more of a Texan at this point.